who wants to be infused with, unreasonable power.
Today we're going to go through all of the brand new technological insights you can gain from studying pre-FTL primitives in the new Stellaris First Contact. We'll also be going through some of the reworks to Traditions and Ascension perks that we're going to be getting with patch 3.7 as well. We have gained access to all of this information thanks to a fantastic stream by the Stellaris developers, which I will link down below in the description if you'd like to watch the full thing. But without any further ado, let's find out what the new Primitive Insights are all about. We're going to start with the Physics Insights. Now, all of the Physics Insights each add plus 0.25 or 1/4 of an envoy. Don't ask me which quarter. I tried to ask very politely during the stream and was a little bit ignored. I'm assuming it's the left foot, the right leg, and a few of the fingers, but I have not been told. Anyway, the first tech we have here to see is the unusual senses. This one is going to be rather important, I think, with all of the changes that will be coming to combat with a new cloaking system. Let's start with the blurb. Nothing is more innovative than natural evolution. By studying how pre-FTL societies view their world, we have devised new methods of detecting uninvited ships. Listening posts, that is the star-based building that usually increases your sensor range and additionally your FTL detection range, will now provide +1 detection strength and sensor range for every 3 detection arrays. So if you have a starbase that is fully upgraded with 6 detection arrays, that would usually mean for cloaking they would have a detection strength of 6. With this technology and a listening post building on the starbase, that would go up to 8. And if you have the dark matter starbase building as well that's been revealed to increase detection strength, that can get you to an easy 10 with a massive sensor range. Let's not even start getting into the Yut special building, which I'm not covering in this video, but oh my goodness me, that gives you pretty much half the galaxy worth of detection, I would imagine. Next we have new numbers. After studying multiple pre-FTL civilizations, we have realized that there are many alternative ways to calculate the universe. It has even introduced new numbers into our mathematics. I'm assuming they don't just mean counting in a different base system, like changing to base 2 or base 4 or base, I don't know, starting at 10, hexadecimal, whatever. I'm assuming they actually mean that in base 10 they have an 11 or something like that, possibly. That would be just ridiculous, I suppose, but I'm really there for that. Otherwise, maybe they found some new constants that are really interesting, like some sort of equivalent of pi or Planck's constant, maybe something in physics that's important as a number. Anyway, either way, you get a nice juicy +5% research speed from this technology. Trinary computing is where we're starting to get a little bit funky, but this is all about the road not traveled. What have we got here? Different societies have developed alternative solutions for their logistics and computing. These alien ways of thinking have made it easier for us to adapt to foreign empire structures. Available envoys as ever +1/4, and then operation speed +10% and operation difficulty -1. Overall, given the actual impact of most operations, this is kind of a negligible insight that you'd be probably a little bit annoyed to draw in comparison to, I don't know, maybe that extra listening array technology or some of the fantastic engineering insights we're going to see a bit later on. The last physics insight is one that some of you may have already seen if you've been keeping up with the dev diaries. This is atmospheric orbital mechanics. Due to our vast experience operating observation stations in orbit of pre-FTL worlds, we have discovered slight optimizations. By implementing them empire-wide, we can drastically reduce the maintenance our stations require. Resources from orbital stations +5% and station upkeep -50%. I assume this is only orbital station upkeep and not starbase upkeep. It is a different word after all, and that whilst good isn't actually that amazing, possibly compared to invading the planet. What I'm starting to see with these insights is that this may not be something you want to go for if you find one of these FTL worlds right at the start of the game, but by the mid to late game when a small extra world with say 5 or 10 pops would be a nice boost, it might actually not be as much of an impact on your empire as it would be earlier on, and thus you might want to start investigating it and trying to roll some of these technologies for marginal increases. If you're enjoying this video and you'd like to get your hands on Stellaris First Contact, as well as supporting this channel, you can do so by pre-ordering Stellaris First Contact using the link down in the description below. By going to Humble Bundle and pre-ordering Stellaris First Contact there, you'll not only be getting your hands on the game when it comes out on release day, but also supporting this channel. Moving down to the next tree, we have the Society Insights. Now there is actually one extra Society Insight as opposed to the Physics and Engineering, so we get 5 possible insights here. First up we have Predatory Tactics. Now this is one that I think is going to be very, very useful with the cloaking technology, because this gives you sublight speed loss from cloaking of minus 50%, on top of course, the Society generic of plus half an envoy. This one I'm assuming is just the waist down, so only the legs, but again, they've not really told us. Just like how clever pre-FTLs move to conceal each other as they approach an enemy, so too can our pilots move faster without disrupting their cloaking field. Now, at lower levels of cloaking technology, this becomes more and more important, because the lower your cloaking strength, the greater the reduction to sublight speed. Until you get to the golden strength of 6, which is exceptional, or higher, you will have a sublight reduction speed, so this can be very, very nice. Satisfying Insults is quite a funny new insight. Nothing is quite as powerful as a well-placed insult, and we now know how to insult a species' progenitor in many languages. This one is really about channeling your mama jokes to the next level. Insult efficiency plus 50%, and additionally, you'll gain a benefit for insulting another empire every 5 years. That benefit is rather minor, but given all you have to do is send an insult out to an empire pretty much at random out there in the galaxy in order to get this, it's quite a nice additional bonus to have. Plus 2% unity, plus 2 stability, and plus 2% happiness for 5 years. Not amazing, but absolutely not something you just want to sniff at. I really, really hope this becomes an integral part of the PvP meta as we progress through Stellaris First Contact and the min-maxing members of the community are trying to always get that slight edge. It would be absolutely hilarious seeing them have to spam that insult button every 5 years just to maximize their empire's economy. Compact living is a rather inconsequential technology at the start of the game, but later on, this could be really quite useful. Minus 5% from empire size. Whilst no one civilization has the perfect solution to the ever-expanding challenge of governing a growing nation, we have found a partial solution. After studying a multitude of species and governments, we have discovered an outstanding balance of flexibility and function. This image makes it somewhat hard to see what alien topography actually does, but in essence, what is hidden by the tooltip is that max districts from non-artificial planets only will be increased by 1. This, in a lot of ways, is much more powerful than the Ascension perk, Mastery of Nature, that grants plus 2, because all you have to do is spend 6,000 society research and every single non-artificial planet increases in size by 1. Civilizations flourish in locations that promote growth, and by analysing where the majority of pre-FTL settlements thrive, we can gain more out of our colonies. This is probably one of the best insights we have seen so far. Plus 1 districts, definitely not amazing immediately, but later on being able to fit that extra district onto your capital or your ecumenopolis, or actually any world because every single world gets a plus 1, is going to be really, really pleasant. For the more militarily minded amongst you, this last insight is a real doozy. All it does, quite simply, is give you plus 10% damage to rivals. After analysing a multitude of artists from drastically different cultures, we have come up with a general theorem. By studying a civilization's art and culture, we can gain an advantage against them in combat. What a clear Admiral Thrawn reference. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen one as clearly as this. It's straight out of a Star Wars Rebels episode, which is, yeah, pretty cool. I'm here for this. Also, plus 10% damage to rivals doesn't seem like that much, but it's great to be able to stack lots and lots of extra damage modifiers for simply pressing a button. If you're enjoying this video, but you don't usually use some of the interactive features on YouTube, please take the road not taken and use that like button. Before we jump into the final insights, the engineering insights, I just want to quickly cover some of the other changes from the stream that have yet to be explored. First and foremost amongst those is a change to the UI, and that is our outliner. They have now made it much clearer and more obvious how you can switch the view of your planets and the different modes you view that in the outliner. There'll now be a toggle to switch between different modes. We have first up planet designation, which you've probably already seen before. This is one we've already had in, however it was obscured a little bit in the tooltip trying to find exactly how to press that button. I've had many questions asking if it was a mod that let me show off the planets like this. What we're seeing here is the specific designation of the planet displayed rather than an image of the planet from orbit showing its planet class. This can be really helpful when you're trying to remember which world is my energy world, which world is my mining world, which world is my research world, and that sort of thing. Then we have two brand new options. The first of which is this one, planet class displayed over planet designation. Now we get to see not just the designation or the class, but both, as well as the inverse planet designation displayed over planet class. Both of these are going to be really helpful for those of you that have found it a little limiting to have only planet designation or planet class. I must admit, these additional UI changes and updates by the Custodian team are absolutely fantastic. It's great to be able to play a game which is still getting positive UI-related updates almost 7 years after release. With the changes coming with the new cloaking system, we also have some reworks to Ascension perks and traditions. The Subterfuge tradition has been buffed. Now, not only does it do all of the things pretty much it used to do with code breaking and espionage and all of that sort of stuff, we also have a 5 times greater chance of rolling subterfuge related technologies. This includes the new cloaking technologies, as well as the encryption and decryption techs, and that sort of thing. Additionally, when we finish subterfuge, you will get +1 cloaking strength on all of your ships which have a cloaking field module. The Enigmatic Engineering Ascension perk has also received a little buff in the form of +2 cloaking strength. This means when we combine Enigmatic Engineering with Subterfuge and some of the other cloaking related bonuses we can get, I'm fairly confident you can scale a battleship up to cloaking strength 7 or 8 with relative ease. That is high enough that almost all of the NPC or AI empires in the game will not be able to break through your cloak, even the fallen empires. I also have to say Enigmatic Engineering is one of my favourite Ascension perks thematically, even though I found it rather underwhelming from a power perspective for quite a while. Getting a buff to cloaking strength here I hope means that we're going to see it taken more and more in future. The new Zookeeper job given by the reworked zoo building is also rather interesting. It gives more amenities scaled by the number of protected fauna that you have that the zookeeper is looking after. In this case, one zookeeper here is looking after 40 pre-sapiens and thus generating a whopping 92 amenities. That is more than a little bit bonkers. However, whilst it is a big number, this is fairly well balanced. If anything, it's a little underpowered, because think of what you could do with those 40 pops if you uplifted them instead and didn't keep them in a zoo. There was also something really interesting mentioned in this stream by Eladrin, the game director himself. So, we are going to be getting origins with each of the pre-FTL empires that we find out there in the galaxy. For example, we could find an empire which is on a size 30 ocean world and has the aquatic trait, and once they reach the FTL stage, the origin they would have is Ocean Paradise. The same is true of Shattered Ring, I believe also Void Dweller, Mechanist. There are a whole host of the different origins we as players can play with, but we don't see ever. With the FTL races in the game, they only ever became enlightened or uplifted. Now, however, as of Stellaris First Contact, each pre-FTL race will get an origin when it finishes. This is probably one of the most exciting but also surreptitious pieces of news we have had so far. Alright, let's finish off the insights then with the engineering insights. First off, we have lost building methods. If you've been keeping up with the dev diaries, you've seen this one before. Minus 30% empire size from districts and a whopping minus 30% district cost. What I like about this insight is that the initial effect gets better as the game goes on, And the second effect, the reduction in district cost, is more important earlier in the game, so as a technology it's kind of quite balanced, helping you at any point in the game. Supreme Alloy is without a doubt the best insight I have seen so far. According to the devs, they originally trialed this one at twice the bonus, but had to scale it back because it was just a little bit too ridiculous. Alloys from Metallurgist plus 0.5. Of course, that is a base alloy output, so it will be buffed by any amount of additional modifiers that you have, which is really good. When we combine this with the alloy building and also the special building you can put on an orbital ring, we should be able to boost our alloy output by a whopping plus 3.5 from base. As a normie bioempire, that is over double the initial base production before we even bring any modifiers into play. This tech alone, I think, will give some PvP players pause for thought when they decide whether or not to invade a primitive world. Let's say it's in the Stone Age and only has 2 pops. Maybe it might not be worth it if we can get this juicy plus half an alloy bonus. The tech itself reads, "What we thought was the greatest alloy turned out to be far from the truth. Countless pre-FTL refining processes have been catalogued, and we have now synthesized an unbeatable metal, the Supreme Alloy." Ordered retreat. While studying the victors of battles might be the most obvious way to gain insight from combat, observing the loser on pre-FTL worlds has taught us how to organize our withdrawals more effectively. This is going to give you minus 15% time spent missing in action. That, while sounding like a modifier that's neither here nor there, could make all the difference between victory and defeat if your ships are able to return home faster than your opponent can get back, thus giving them time to repair if you've retreated from a combat on the edge of your space, possibly in another Empire's territory, have gone missing in action and then are waiting for your fleets to return home. This last insight is a rather interesting one. The Temple of Transportation. Monthly unity from hyper relays plus 3. I assume this is every hyper relay in your Empire generating 3 unity, which, whilst not that much, is very interesting to get a bonus for something we would probably be building everywhere anyway in order to connect up all of our systems as much as possible. When this bonus is included with the special edicts we can fire off for our hyper relay networks, we're starting to see some very powerful additions when you finally get this transportation method up and running. Transportation networks bring people together, a sentiment shared by many civilizations we have observed. While we do not have steam engines, our hyper relay networks could serve a similar purpose. If you've enjoyed this video and you'd like to find out more about the brand new cloaking technology coming with Stellaris First Contact, what it does, how to use it, and possibly more importantly, how to counter it, click the video on screen now.